We are in New York City. I came here from Omaha, Nebraska.
We flew in from Cleveland just for this.
I live in Washington, D.C.
We came from Nashville all the way just for this.
From Royal Oak, Michigan, from Detroit.
I'm from Peoria, Illinois.
I flew in yesterday from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
Yeah, I came all the way from Long Island.
They're the only band in the world I would travel across the world to see.
I tend to be identified most with Husker Du and my solo albums, but few know the half of how much fun I had with Sugar.
At the end of 1990, when I wrapped up the Black Sheets of Rain tour, I was sort of broke. I was living in New York, and I was like, what am I going to do?
My old band, Mercyland, had broken up. I was recording indie bands for no money, and I drove a delivery truck for $6 an hour and had a baby and a pregnant wife.
I was very active in the local scene in Boston, and I was in a band called the Zulus, and Bob was producer on our record, but we broke up shortly thereafter.
I had made 2 records for Virgin Records, got pretty deep in debt. Virgin wanted me to renegotiate the deal.
Yeah.
I got a new attorney, and he just said, you know what, why don't you just walk away from that deal?
You'll never see any money. They'll write off the losses, you can start over. I thought about it for a moment and quickly realized he was right. Walk away and don't look back. It was time to move forward.
So in 1991, I spent almost the entire year out doing solo acoustic shows. And I was playing these festivals with Sonic Youth, who I was friends with. Dinosaur Jr. was on a lot of the shows, and Nirvana. So I would watch them, and they were trashing the stage every night, and I'd have to go out after them with a 12-string. You know, it's like I'm up there doing my Richie Havens thing. Alongside that, I was writing a ton of songs for my next record.
He sent me 2 cassettes, and they were just they were both full. It amounted to about 30 songs, and the demos were at a professional level. They were astounding.
I pressed play on the cassette and I heard the fully realized demo of Hoover Dam. It blew my mind.
Met with a couple different record companies, Rykodisc here in the US, and Creation Records in the UK. Alan McGee at Creation was a big fan of my prior work.
Husker Du was the fucking best, he said.
The music business it's still like one, I mean, there's so much bullshit spoken about it, but you can still, if you really believe in it, you can make it work, you know?
I played him a 5-song demo. He thought it was genius and wanted to put it out right away. Signing with them immediately felt like the right thing to do. The second major event on this trip happened one night after a show. Creation had just put out this record called Loveless by My Bloody Valentine. I heard it for the first time and I was astonished. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Loveless had a profound effect on me.
The early 90s was really good for music. It was kind of a magical era.
That time in like 1991, 1992, the walls were coming down Eastern Europe. It was a strange and beautiful time for the world and also for rock.
You know, from the year of solo touring, you know, I'd made enough money to make a record. So that's where David and Malcolm entered the picture. We started working in Athens, Georgia, rehearsing these 30 songs.
When Bob first asked me about playing, I thought he just meant get together for a day or two and play some music because we're friends with, play music, and it would be fun. I couldn't really imagine that somebody that operated at the level Bob did was asking me to be in a band with him.
I didn't know David at all before the band was put together. But when Bob counted off 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Act React, we just fell in, and it was like, oh my God. He was my match. David was on bass.
sounded like a band. It felt good right away. It felt real. Malcolm, as a drummer, is machine-like, propulsive. He obviously had really put in the work on the songs, as had I. And so we showed up knowing the songs.
It just felt like a band. David and Malcolm were not hired guns. We were in this together, building this project in a very punk rock manner.
The first Sugar rehearsals were held at the rehearsal space of the iconic Athens band Pylon. It was just kind of a grim practice space in the basement of a tire store. So we could hear the guys upstairs with the air tools all day long. Drank a lot of extremely strong black coffee and did a lot of practicing.
I mean, everything was on the cheap. This was not a major label production. You know, it's just sort of back to basics. And don't waste money, don't waste time. Get ready for the recordings. Loveless had left a big impression, but the other album that informed this group of songs was Cheap Tricks in Color.
We were sort of going for that Cheap Trick thing with Benny Carlos. His style was very concise and simple. No flamboyant fills or anything. He served the song.
Towards the end of the rehearsals, 40 Watt Club calls us and says, "Hey, somebody canceled. Do you guys want to play on Tuesday?" And we're like, sure, we'll play a show. And then we're like, what are we going to call this? We were at a Waffle House having breakfast. I just looked down at the table and there was a packet of Sugar. How about Sugar? Is that a good band name? And everyone's like, yeah, sounds good.
Posters were created for the show. Sugar Tonight. Didn't have a date or anything.
I remember it was the same night of the week that The Simpsons was on, but it was packed and people knew about it. Like the word was out. It was incredible. A new band's first show, we have no record, it's sold out, and somebody from Spin was at the show. You know, a lot of fans of Bob's music loved Workbook and Black Sheets of Rain, but I think they missed Bob just being in a band like he had been in Husker Du, and I think when the word was out that that's what this was, his fans seemed pretty psyched.
We had a lot of support. Everybody loved the show. And then we put our stuff in the truck and drove up to Stoughton, Massachusetts to a recording studio called The Outpost.
We started with drums to guide the bass, which meant that Malcolm played the drum parts without hearing guitar and vocals.
Back then, digital recording was not a thing. It was all tape, 2-inch tape, and it was hard, so I had to really perform at a high level and try to get the take like that in one go.
The speakers felt like they were the size of the earth, and I'm listening, not believing I created it. Doesn't happen that many times in your life, where the sound coming out of the speakers is as big as life gets. I didn't know it going in, but we were actually making two very distinct records at the same time, leaving me with a 10-song pop album and a 6-song suite that had a heavier feel.
Hearing the finished and compiled Copper Blue was absolutely one of the best things I'd ever been involved with in my life up to that point.
This is the best recording I've ever done, been a part of.
Finally, the albums are done and both labels are thrilled. We run through a 2-week US warm-up tour in July 1992, and then in late July we made our first appearance in the UK. We debuted with a Virgin Megastore in-store, played a few songs, and blew the power out.
Right off the bat, the fans in England latched onto it immediately.
It felt like we were treated like rock stars. The funny thing is, I assumed this is how it always was for Bob. And since this was a level I wasn't used to, that this is just what happens at this level. And it wasn't until many years later that he told me, no, that was a new thing for me too.
Copper Blue blew up. People were primed for it because of Bob's, pedigree and all the connections and friends he'd made and all the love for the music that he'd made.
There was a communal energy, there was stage diving. It wasn't the we're going to you with this thing until you fight back approach of the underground punk scene in the 80s. It was more of a celebration.
Sugar actually had a much bigger impact than even Husker Du, in the sense that they were selling tons of records and playing big places.
Copper Blue won NME's Record of the Year, so they had that all-important UK Music Weekly approval. And UK Music Press was not only influential in the UK, but they were influential on American radio and MTV.
We're counting down the top 20 alternative videos in 1992. Number 10, it's Helpless from Sugar, the band featuring ex-Husker Du frontman Bob Mould.
One of the most beautiful things about Copper Blue and Sugar is that he got paid back. Husker Du was a very influential band and laid the groundwork for a lot of what happened in rock music in the 90s. Like Nirvana, there's a definite lineage back to Husker Du there.
This was my payoff. This was my receipt for everything. I was right there with the right record at the right time.
All through this, I know that there's another record coming right away.
Creation released Beaster the week before Easter, 7 months after Copper Blue. That was classic British music thinking. Keep hammering it, and when you're on fire, throw more petrol on it. Beaster entered at number 2 in the UK charts, my highest national chart position ever. I was euphoric.
Sugar was loud, somewhere between oppressively and astonishingly loud. Just Bob's volume was 128 dB.
I saw Sugar when they did the Beaster tour. They came through Chicago, and my ears are still bleeding!
It was loud. Well, everything was loud. There were never quiet Bob Mould shows, right?
My favorite shows are always where there's this incredible interaction between the audience and the band, and those frequently occur in a smaller room with too many people in it.
I was right up against the gate up at front, and I was just really being pummeled, and luckily I had steel-toed boots on that night. Somebody stomped on my foot really hard, and so it saved my foot at least.
This was the grunge era, the 3 years where MTV took a chance on indie guitar music. I'm Bob Mould of Sugar, and I'm guest hosting tonight.
The sudden popularity of grunge, all things Seattle, all things discount flannel, it was setting a pretty big table for a lot of people to be seen and heard.
In 1993, we began a 4-week U.S. tour in support of Beaster. We'd be hitting venues with capacities 2,500 to 6,000, the level right before the jump to arenas. In Lawrence, Kansas, we stopped by to smoke pot and throw knives with William Burroughs. We barreled through the Midwest and East Coast, ran through Texas, and on to Las Vegas. We ran into Sonic Youth. They had a night off and were playing roulette. We toured Japan for the first time, and when we went out to eat with a Japanese record company, suddenly the building began to shake. Sales of Copper Blue jumped from 30,000 to 100,000 to 300,000. The most copies of any record I'd ever made. After a February 1994 solo acoustic tour, it was time to record the follow-up to Copper Blue and Beaster, File Under Easy Listening, or Fuel.
When the story started, I had a baby and a pregnant wife. By the time File Under Easy Listening came out, I had 3 small children. And I just was at a point where I realized the end is near for me doing this. I needed to be at home with my children. I wanted to be a good dad. When I reached the decision that that's what I needed to do, I privately told Bob.
I knew it was coming. I could sense it. Stopped and looked at him and said, "I'm right there with you." He was like, "Wow." I said, "David, I'm a wreck. I don't even know if I'm coming or going."
We've been pushing hard for about 2 years at that point, and we were just feeling all beat up.
I encouraged him to get another bass player and keep going, but he decided that it was maybe time to just wind it down. The last thing that we did was the File Under Easy Listening tour of Japan, which is early '95. This show in Sendai, Japan was the last one.
Welcome back, Sugar. Oh my God.
We are at Webster Hall in New York City tonight, and I am so incredibly excited to see Sugar. I've waited 30 years for this.
Be alive. Hey, I'm Bob.
I will be your
Nice to
AQ
meet
all 3 nights.
Nice to. Oh, wonderful.
And I am psyched.
When we go up and play, watch me for the first song. If I'm playing and I do that or that at the mic, that means I need a little bit more. When it's good, I'll blow you a kiss.
Love it.
Thank you.
At the beginning of 2024, there's interest in Sugar getting back together.
People have been asking about Sugar. 2026, what do you think? And I said, I'm totally down.
The only thing I could say was, fuck yeah.
It was an amazing mix of old fans who saw us back in the day and new fans, including my own children.
The little kids that he came home to when Sugar was over for him are now amazing grown-ups. But now to get to see them step back on the big stage and do that, it's beautiful.
Didn't really understand their impact, so very cool to be able to see that the last couple nights.
You know, it's so fun to play on a big stage in front of a bunch of people who love you. So like to see that it's still there for him after all these years was really exciting and moving.
I think they should do more stage diving.
Yeah.
I think it's a new thing for him. He hasn't really looked backwards in any sort of way, so I think it's sort of a new forward, backward experience. When I was a college student, I had my Copper Blue cassette tape, so I have been listening to Sugar for a long time.
When you and Bob met, did you tell him that you were into Sugar?
Oh no, absolutely not.
So I'm older than Bob and David. I'm in my fourth quarter right now, and this is such a gift. It's incredible, and I'm really enjoying the ride. Sugar means family to me now. Both Bob and David are like brothers to me.
This
German journalist thought that Malcolm was Bob.
Oh, fantastic.
And wanted Malcolm and David to leave so that he could get some pictures of Bob, and so Bob and I just left. They're not going to know.
We totally planned it.
Until this thing runs.
It was fun.
I think the sound of Sugar, particularly Sugar, it passed the test of time.
The songs that they were making still sound like nothing else that came out of that decade, which was hard to do. There were so many grungy, shoegazy clones, and there was just something about those songs that sounded completely singular and distinctive.
There's a reason why this is a really big deal, because for people like me, this band was an integral part of the soundtrack of our becoming an adult. And Bob always has that great ability to channel what you're feeling and what you're thinking when you feel like you're on the fringes of society.
We were only a live band for 3 years. Decades later, to come back to this and seeing how much these songs mean to the fans, it's really touching. Back in 1991, I was starting over. But with David and Malcolm, Sugar in 12 months went from 3 men building a stage extension out of road cases for a punk rock show in Morgantown, West Virginia,
to playing gigantic European festivals with Metallica. Sugar was intense. The band was not enormous, but we were mighty close to the top.